Kalila Harris for the Real News Network at Cherry Hill Elementary Middle School at the opening of this new 21st century school building.
I am Sonia Santelises. I'm CEO of City Schools. I, along with Claude, want to welcome you all here today, members of the Anne Arundel community, members of the Cherry Hill community, elected officials. There are so many people here who just have played such an amazing role in what we see here now.
Back to school season in Baltimore. The $1 billion 21st Century Schools Fund is supporting the opening of 5 new city schools in this school year and the renovation or rebuilding of 23 others. This effort came in response to years of protest, advocacy, and collaboration between the grassroots and city and elected officials with the Transform Baltimore campaign.
This school and the other ones being open this week are really the culmination of so many people's work and dreams over the last 8 or so years. We started a campaign to try to replace all the decrepit, unacceptable school buildings in Baltimore City, and now we're seeing the fruits of everyone's labor.
The old Arundel Elementary Middle School will find new life as the Baltimore Early Learning Academy and will provide an early childhood center spanning birth through 2nd grade. Just steps away, the renovated Cherry Hill Elementary Middle School will serve grades 3 through 8. This innovation in grade structures was demanded by community members and cannot be found anywhere else in the city.
One of the things that the mayor and I were talking about before the ceremony was we have kindergartners that will be going to Anne Arundel who will graduate from Cherry Hill with this as the norm. They're not going to know that there was an other, right? That was less than. They're going to walk through their learning experience knowing that this is what it should look like.
Many residents of all ages attended the events, expressing their reflection on what once was and what is now possible for the new building.
It's really good for other kids because I used to go to school here and I seen how we ain't really have enough space for our wrestling programs and our gym. It was all in one area. The gymnasium, everything was together, but now it's more space, more kids to come. We got better staffs. Everybody can help out now. It's better than it was a few years back when I was here. I think it's really good for them because, a lot of kids these days, they're not really into school. But when you do stuff like this for the kids, it help them out and they want to learn more. They seeing better things in their area and that make them want to work harder.
Well, it's important to me because I started here from kindergarten and I finished the 6th grade here. And it's a part of history for me.
It's important for me because the children now that are going to be our future. And we want to make sure that they get a quality education, not only a quality education, but a building that is safe and at state of the arts.
Yeah, and I also went to school here. It was a wonderful school when I was here, but that was a long time ago. So it needs some refreshing to keep up with new learning and new experiences.
The parents in attendance were also very clear about what this opportunity could mean for their students and their community.
Well, I'm looking for the opportunity for the kids to learn. They have a good school year, progress in life, and grow up, be something in life. Because it's hard out here for black kids in the city. Just be good for them. Brand new school, fresh start for them.
While expressing their excitement, there was a consistent acknowledgement that all students, families, and educators in this community and across the city deserve spaces that show an investment in them.
I think the energy is really that it is possible to deliver on our promise to our young people, right? This building proves that when the community mobilizes, when all of the adults get together and do what we know is right, whether it's elected officials, local advocates, school system officials, we really can get something amazing done for kids. And that's what's so energizing about this whole thing.
I still feel a little bit overwhelmed because I'm just so blown away by this day. It's 8 years of work and fighting at every corner to get what kids deserve. This is, at the end of the day, I'm inspired by this because it truly reflects what kids deserve. This is what a school should look like for all kids.
I'm very excited, overwhelmed. I think it's a great opportunity for kids in this community to know that people care about them. People care about how they learn, where they learn, and what they learn.
Elected officials at the event brought their perspectives not only on what the school's opening would mean to Baltimore, but their roles in the success of Baltimore students.
We not only fully funded education in all 24 jurisdictions of the state, but we went far and above fully funding by investing a record $25 billion into K through 12 education. No governor in the history of the state has ever invested more. We've invested $5.5 billion just into the Baltimore City schools alone. We've invested $5.5 billion into Baltimore City, to $3.8 billion of that in the schools in the city. This is far and above the legislative spending formulas, and it's in spite of declining enrollment, and it's far more than any other administration in the history of Maryland. And we're also leading the fight for more accountability in our local school systems by raising academic standards, rooting out corruption and mismanagement.
Remarks from Governor Hogan seem to contradict advocates' understanding of how we arrived at this point and what needs to happen to secure quality schools for all of Baltimore's students.
I will be voting to choose leaders who will invest in Baltimore City, who will see us as a jewel and an asset, not as a problem. I'll be voting for people who will put the needs of the vulnerable at the forefront. Because when you take care of the least among us, you take care of all of us. That's a big part of our job.
Well, we know that we need to pass a new funding formula because Baltimore City is severely underfunded, and many schools across the state are also. So we'll be working with many community advocates to pass a new funding formula under the Kerwin Commission. But we also need to add more buildings to the plan. As you said, there's 24, 28 schools in the plan now, but we don't want this to drop off. We don't want there to be a cliff where the school buildings stop. We need to add more schools to the building plan.
The two biggest issues right now, one is on the operations side of the House, and that's going to be with the Kerwin Commission. We have got to see a major effort around the Kerwin Commission, and it's going to largely, the governor's race is going to be very important. That will largely determine the momentum of the Kerwin Commission, but it is absolutely essential that we move something this year for operating dollars. The other thing is that we are still working on capital dollars. Last year, we passed something that requires the state to do an assessment of facilities. It's going to tell us what we already know. Baltimore City's facilities are largely deficient. And so hopefully that will help us to prioritize capital dollars for the highest need in a more equitable fashion, not an equal distribution, but an equitable distribution. And so that's going to be another, on the capital side of the house, we're going to be spending a lot of time trying to make sure that that ranking system actually leads to investments.
For those communities that are thinking of this, I know they want this, but they got to organize and they got to be consistent.
Despite the promise of opening new schools, there are many students and educators who will return to buildings that will continue to have failing systems and infrastructure.
One of the things that we'll be reporting on publicly in an upcoming board meeting is all of the lessons learned from January and our heat and climate challenges. Then we will have more buildings that will have remote temperature reads. We have far firmer protocols in place for the temperature of young people in classroom spaces, and when that temperature is unacceptable. We had members of our state delegation from the city who, in light of the challenges from the past winter, not only got us $15 million extra dollars, which in some ways is a drop in the bucket, but in a number of ways is significant. They not only got us the $15 million extra dollars, but they got us flexibility in that $15 million. So we have that additional money we've put towards maintenance, we've put towards putting interim measures in place. We've added from our own city schools budget an additional 15 staff positions because, frankly, the ratio of oversight for building facilities was much too high. It was double or triple what it is in some other jurisdictions, so we brought that down. We're also going to be reporting on partnerships with outside organizations, outside private organizations who, after our challenges in January, reached out and said, how can we help? And so they've been partnering with our teams. We've got kind of a new, what we call a blitz protocol, where we go in advance, very systematically to buildings, not waiting for the concerns to bubble up, but to be proactive. So I'm actually really excited to report to the public what we have in place, all the learning, and frankly, the real strategic use of the additional dollars that we were able to secure through the help of our city delegation to the state.
What else you want to tell me about your new school?
I think it's going to be fun.
All right. Thank you, Kensai.
My hopes in general for the new school year is that kids come here as another home away from home, that is a home environment that they know that they belong. And because we're combining 3 schools into one, that's going to be important for every child to know that they belong here. And we've messaged that to our teachers, it's through our cafeteria staff, our custodians, everyone. No one should be asking anybody, what school did you come from? If they happen to have a mistake or something. It's all about you're here, you belong here, and how do we make it better?
I would hope that they would be the next mayor, the next governor, the next senator, the next president of the United States. We could be very, very proud that we could say that they are from Cherry Hill.
This is Kalila Harris reporting for the Real News Network. Stay with us as we continue to bring you deep reporting on education issues from Baltimore and beyond, because the future depends on knowing.